Well, Mr. Phillips,
Mr. Reed, how are you doing?
I'm good. I just literally was pinging Daryl saying, "Hey, I I was tied up for the first half an hour of the of your what I call the APAC meeting today, and when I joined at that point, it was did you have it? Did it end early?
So Neil and I were on Discord saying, do we need one or not? And I was sort of suggesting to Neil, well, I don't necessarily need one. Happy to do something asynchronously. And I had in the meantime the Zoom thing open in case somebody popped in there, and Neil popped in there. So that Neil and I had a chat about what he's doing with Diff on a whole bunch of stuff to do with data models for travelers and other things that are entertaining right now. And then I talked a little bit about the kind of challenges in the sense of problems we need to think about and solve for the UNCFAC Global Trust Registry project, which we both remarked are similar to many of the same problems others are trying to solve in other parts of the world. So that's kind of where we got to really. There will be. I was just actually looking at the transcript. There's an automatic minutes generated now by the Linux Foundation for meetings,
Ah,
which is useful, right?
yeah.
Except I'll show you what it. I'll minimize that screen. I'll show you and minimize that one. I'll show you what this looks like because it asks me a question or it gives me a choice that I don't seem to be able to do anything with. So this is what I'm looking at. Let me muck around my screens, get my screen so I can now share. So this is the minutes of the last meeting for the architecture task force. And so let me choose the right Windows screens. No, this one, screen two. So basically, this is the meeting summary you get when you click that link that's in the past meetings list on your open profile dev thing. But
Oh, okay.
what it says is this, right? Please review and edit the meeting summary generated by Zoom and click save to publish the summary to participants. That sounds good, right? I'd
Yeah.
like that. Where do I edit? Where do I click save?
Yeah.
Right? There's no actual option, right? So if you go into this is the actual sort of dashboard look that you'll have the same one of, right?
Right.
And you've got this is the governance architecture. There's the recording, AI summary, and transcript. So that's what I clicked. I clicked AI summary,
Yeah.
but I've got no option to edit or do
I
anything with this.
see. I see.
There's
Uh,
something.
yes.
So the
Huh.
transcript, no doubt, has the usual um, foibles about, oh, it's not even a transcript. Transcript comes up with a video and then with the full files that you download. So my mechanical process to date has been to download the transcript, download any chat, put them through my own Notebook LM instance
Right.
to create minutes of a meeting based on both the transcript and the chat messages. And those have come out not bad. I'm getting a bit lazier and I'm wondering whether just to use this
Yeah.
content. But I think what I'll have to do is copy and paste this content into the wiki page on
Yeah.
Confluence for us, and then of course I can edit it, right?
Yeah.
But I can't edit this. This is fixed.
Yes. And that is bizarre. Bizarre. Now, also, I had a second question of oh, here's Joe. I haven't talked to both of you together in a while.
He's been in Ireland. He's back from Ireland.
He's been in
He's a bit
Ireland
crook though.
again. He's been over there drinking that Guinness and
No, I
nobody
haven't
really.
actually. You know what? The one thing I didn't do was get into a pub and have a pint of Guinness in my four
You
weeks there.
didn't? You went
I
all the way to
didn't do
Ireland
it.
and you didn't get in a pub
I
and have a
didn't
pint?
do it. I didn't do that. I've done it
Wow.
before. It's all right. Don't worry.
All right. Well,
How are you, Drama? Great to see you. We're on the beach. It's good.
it looks like a beach. I told so this is actually the view from the my son's girlfriend's house. Her parents live on Oahu on a house on the water, and my son and his girlfriend are house sitting for 3 weeks.
Nice.
So
Were they house sitting during the Ironman competition that was at the weekend in Hawaii?
it was, yes, and I didn't know that. I was actually he just left. We went to the Mariners playoff game on Friday night. It was their final game against the Detroit Tigers. Went 15 innings, and they finally won. It was bonkers. But the next morning they flew off, and he then sent this picture and said, "We're here. This is the view out the backyard. Outer backyard." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna make that my
Nice.
I can't go,
Nice.
but I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna live there for the next 3 weeks."
The reason I'm speaking to you from Australia is someone did something like that to me 20 plus years ago. I was working in London, had been working on a project, which sounds exotic, right? I was working in London. The project was based in Paris. I was taking Eurostar every week to Paris to work with a client. It was a satellite control center, blah, blah. But it was February and I hadn't seen the sun for about 3 months. It had been raining, it seemed, for most of the 3 months. And a mate of mine sent me a picture from his balcony in Wellington in New Zealand saying, "Do you want to work in New Zealand or what?" Um, and the picture's stunning, right? I didn't realize at the time that it was rarely ever that weather in Wellington in New Zealand. It was rare that it wasn't windy and wet, but nevertheless, the picture looks fabulous. And a few months later, I'm in New Zealand with my family, and
Oh,
then I'm in Australia with my family.
I
Um,
see. How long were you in New Zealand?
about a year, nearly a year, about 10 months.
I have still yet to be in New Zealand. I'm
Beautiful country. It's
yeah.
it's stunning actually. It's absolutely ridiculously pretty. It's that yeah, you can't you've seen it on Lord of the Rings,
Lord of the
but you've
Rings.
only seen some of the beauty of it.
So
It's just ridiculous as a place.
that's what I'm
Um,
looking for. We have a good family friend of my wife's and mine. Her daughter married a New Zealander, and they just had their first child down there, and she's moving down there for our friend is. And it's gorgeous, and I can't wait to go. I'm gonna have to do a down under swing as part of as we make progress with the first person project. So um, yeah, that it will come. I can't say exactly when, but we are we are making. I'll just say. I had a funding meeting last night, which was the most positive that I've seen yet. So cross your fingers.
Great.
Hopefully things are
Looking
moving.
cool.
forward to it.
Very
Yes,
cool. Very cool. On matters trust over IP, I noticed that there was a meeting earlier in your day, before I was awake probably, on where Nikki Hickman and Scott Perry were talking about risks and first and stuff, right? Um, in the minute, I was actually reading the minutes. Go figure, right? I read the
yes,
wiki
the
page
actual
minute.
minutes. And those are manually produced, by the way. There's no AI
Yeah.
involved. Yeah. So
I my if I were wearing it, my hat would be tipped at them or whatever, or taken off. But nevertheless, there seems to be a discussion that hasn't yet resolved. Is that right?
yes, it's so I'll pop down and just quickly since this is our APAC meeting, review what we did cover. A couple new quite good attendance this morning. A couple new people. You guys are familiar with Quai, right? The open source AI work.
I
Or
think
are
so.
you?
I've
Yeah.
I've come across them, yeah, on the various
Yeah,
things,
it's
yeah.
they. I first heard about it, I think at least a year ago at VRM Day. Doc is contributing. Basically, it's a nonprofit project to basically create personal AI, and to do it in a way that's not going to be controlled by the Big Six or Magnificent Seven or whatever you call it. And the head of that project, Riza Rasul, has joined the working group. And so and then another fellow as part of that project also has joined today's meetings. So there's that. Kevin Triplett is part of this Now Genesis project, which is talked about in part 10 of the first person white paper. So he's also now joined there. Anyway, there's that. I do recommend you guys are both on the first person mailing list, so I'm going to send out a link to this article here tonight, together with a survey that we're sending out that I'll be very curious to see what you think about it.
Mhm.
It's was developed really in conjunction with the Now Genesis folks, but then we realized, hey, we can send the survey to the first person mailing list and really get some interesting results. So anyway, cover that. But basically, we just besides quick discussions of the two other task forces that there have been requests to get going, one on credentials and one on our cards. Basically to start spinning those up in conjunction with the work that we want to start on risk assessment, harms prevention, in large part because Jeff Turk, who's based in who's volunteering the First Person Project, he's in France. He's working with us on the Linux Foundation kernel implementation, and like, hey, we need to start deciding at least an early version of what the PHCs and VRCs are going to look like. And so that's what that task force is about. And then also the Harvard Applied Social Media folks are they're starting to experiment with our card exchange. So we've got both of those things sort of in the experiment stage. So we want to get those task forces going. Both of which will probably actually be working asynchronously or with occasional meetings. But first we're just going to get charters together for that. I've agreed to help with those after I get the rest of the stuff. And then the whole rest of the meeting was Scott and Nikki both sort of discussing the approaches they think they want to take. And as you said, John, the reason it's not resolved is because they didn't I gave them a heads up. They both asked for this time at this meeting, but they didn't get the chance to actually meet beforehand. And so the discussion sort of took place in real time. Scott presenting sort of his view of how things would proceed with risk assessment, and Nikki explaining what she was thinking about how to proceed with threats and harms prevention. And it was pretty good. You can read the notes here about what they were each saying, but the subtext was they're complementary but different approaches. And as you probably know, I think you two have worked more with Nikki than with Scott. But bottom line is they just have different ways of going about it. They're different ways of thinking about these. And the idea that okay, it could be one task force that work together. It's now equally. It may be that it's two task forces, and they just have different timelines and different, and they just collaborate as needed. So,
Okay.
as you said, it was unresolved. So the final action item was for the two of them to agree. We're not, IAW is next week, so we're not meeting next week. So they have 2 weeks to figure out when they can chat and sort of decide, do they want to try and tackle it as one task force or as two, and whichever way they go to create the charter pages, and away we go.
Thank you for that. That's kind of what my reading into it was, in absence of the explanation. And I guess the feeling I had when I read the notes and hearing you explain it is, yes, I would expect to understand that Scott and Nikki have approached the problem from different perspectives. Okay, that's what my experience would be of working with them. I'll share for the recording, I guess. My hope would be actually there is one task force that will benefit from two different perspectives. If you have a task force full of people with one perspective, then you don't have a diverse team of or interests and you have a less rich environment basically. If they only believe one sort of way of thinking about or seeing a problem, then it's a self-fulfilling conclusion, right? So I actually think it would be good if they worked out a way of taking these two valid perspectives on this topic into the same space, because otherwise two independent task forces will come up with some observations and recommendations, which somebody else is going to have to work out how to resolve into some coherent thing. If I were to be blunt, they have abdicated their responsibility.
I get you. I agree with you. That said, I'm not personally going to try and call it.
I know. I agree. So that all said, yes, I understand. Yeah.
And I think the good news is I think we have enough participation that if they do decide they're separate task forces, that there'll be enough both other participants in both, and they've already agreed, regardless, they would work together, right? Because they inform each other, and Scott's
Oh,
got his
okay.
methodology, and Nikki's got hers, but they've already agreed to do that regardless. So I'm frankly not going to push them one way or the other. And there's some other factors we can discuss, offline. That
Mm.
yeah.
And the outcome, I mean, I'm kind of I'm not the only catalyst here, but I'm one of the people that suggested we might need to look at this area, is that I very much hope that actually the first person project and the whole related sort of activity in just the trust graph and so on come up with a very positive answer to this challenge. In other words,
Yes.
it's understood that there could be risks in certain approaches, but this approach itself actually minimizes those risks and has good ways of mitigating those risks. That's what I hope is the
100%.
outcome of it.
And I just appreciate that, as compared to 5 years ago when we were just starting down this path. I personally am so much more educated in the need for risk assessment, the need for threats and harms assessment at the outset of a project, and sort of as an ongoing as we move through it. So I'm thrilled that they're both willing to lean into it. And again, I can share a little bit more offline. But I'm happy that they want to dive into it and push these two things together, or push them forward and work together as much as they can. It makes sense. And I'm
Cool.
also happy that the other work, I did share on the call that Jeff Turek, when we talked about the other two task forces, he shared that we are working with the Linux kernel project. That's proceeding quite well. Besides Jeff, who's all volunteer working on it, the other person contributing is Glenn Gore, the CEO of Affinity. And interesting enough, it's not that he's just assigning developers or others to work on it. Glenn is himself working on the code. He's deeply technical. And he just is, convinced, hey, if we do the right thing and we can, as I think I mentioned before, but they've been very explicit now. If what they want us to do is replace their GPG web of trust with first person credentials, which sounds like a pretty high bar, and it is, but between Jeff and Glenn and the ZKP folks at Berkeley, they're confident they can do it, and it gives us sort of a nice clean target that we can. So that and in terms of targets and milestones, the other thing is that a separate team that's not part of the technical work, that's putting a new events company called H2H, has worked out to have an event right before, the day before the Linux Foundation Member Summit. That's February 24th and 25th in Napa, the same place they had it last year, Silverado Resort. And this first H2H event is going to be on the 23rd, the day before. And it is going to feature, it's basically all about the human to human whole direction. So first person project, decentralized AI, it's the whole focus of that event. And one of the things we want to be able to show there and then at the member summit is what has been implemented for the kernel. It's not going to be flashy looking stuff because it's a CLI that developers would be using, but it will actually, the whole idea is it's actually doing, the PHCs and VRCs, and potentially it uses at least the first version of the ZKP library that the Berkeley team has been developing. There is I think it's in the notes. I can put it in the chat. There is a library that has been set up now as a LFDT Labs project. If you, it's, I'll give you the link here. It's ABK. Yeah, that's the link for that. So anyway, it's just good stuff is happening, and we have this first milestone to be driving towards. It doesn't, it's not like we have to have a bunch of deliverables out by that point, but we do have this wonderful opportunity to basically report out on where things are with the working group and where things are with this with the Linux kernel project at that point. So there you have it. That's pretty much covers what we talked about this morning, my time. Any other questions about that?
No, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I'm just thinking Joe's probably doing something right now, but Joe, I'm thinking about the call we've just come off of to get here. And are you thinking the same? That there's a sort of
Tony.
relevancy. There's a
Exactly
relevancy
right.
to the work. So there's a guy working, an Australian working on an initiative here. What's his? It's what's the name of the group called?
AstroSync.
AstroSync. He's working on I guess it's a product or a company that is going to create a sort of developers of code for agents, and the use of these agents presents a sort of a trust challenge, I suppose. And it's very similar to his thinking independently being produced to that's led to the idea that the Linux kernel maintenance team needs to be identified and trustworthy, and the work that they produce sort of recognized and authenticated. He's doing something kind of similar in the background, independently, without realizing. We've pointed him at the first person project as what you should learn from or lean on, because he doesn't want to develop his own solutions to problems. He's trying to do what's the gap, can I fill it thing.
Okay.
So since this material is, rightly so publicly available, Joe, I think we should point him towards this sort of stuff to sort of say, his name's Tim, by the way, so that Tim builds something that is novel, new, and worth something, as opposed to something that all kind of is already being done somewhere else.
Gotcha. AstroSync AI. Oh, fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, this just keeps coming up, every place that yeah, as soon as I looked, I just, clicked through to the homepage. AI agent identity management. It's like the solutions are popping. I just heard of the whole effort that the Hashgraph and Hedera community is doing called I think HCS 14. There's the Nanda project that started at MIT, still has some connection to MIT, and there's this. Wow. Yeah.
The point that Tim's trying, and you got to take your hat off to him. I mean, he's coming at this from he's a very smart bloke, but he's highly independent in comparison to sort of those platforms that already know what they have to do and find the need. So he's trying to predominantly look at things like being able to port your capabilities to different platforms,
Yeah.
to be able to have a portable and a broadly useful identity credential, if you like, or verification process that allows you to not be just hooked into one platform or whatever. And that's sort of the important thing, rather than having to reinvent yourself in all the different platforms and frameworks on ecosystems that you deal with. You should be able to sort of combine your credentialing in terms of who you are, what your certifications are, and the rest of it. If you like your trust score, you
Yep.
should be able to port to other utilizations and other scenarios, and then that's around the developer. And then the question is, okay, so when the developer creates an AI agent, then you should be able to identify that agent, and that agent should be able to actually be ported across different platforms and different environments, but still
So
be identifiable as the original agent as such.
So and Joe,
Hmm.
am I right in thinking that when that agent instance is off and running, that not only is the agent itself identifiable, but the developer of that agent is identifiable,
Yeah, it's
and
linked in
their
effect. Yeah.
reputation, and the
Yeah.
owner of the agent that's given authority for the agent to do its thing is
That's
identifiable. So
exactly right.
it's
Yes.
sort of working out how when this is running, do we need to sort of give the trust score, if you like, for an agent,
I mean, he thought
and where might
he
that be
started
derived?
it. Sorry, John, you're absolutely right. He started off with thinking that this was a protocol, and we as we suggested, it's probably not a protocol. It's probably an extension capability of other protocols that say, this is your agent and this is the identification of your agent, and and this is the identification of the developer as well. The problem is that he's got is that he's going to be anchoring onto traditional identity verification process IDV, sort of solutions like Persona and so forth. And we're sort of saying, well, that's sort of fine. But don't be aware, just be aware that there are other ways of doing this that don't necessarily anchor to static identity verification capabilities, because that will need to sort of evolve over time.
Yeah,
Your
absolutely.
The point that you made and that you're typing right now is absolutely true. There's a plethora of other people working on this in this
So
problem space
many.
right now. There are a
Yeah.
gazillion of them.
I mean, he would see his capability embedded into other agent environments or agent solutions, not as a take it all, or it's just a capability that sort of sits under the covers, rather than
Yeah,
being something separate as such.
yeah, it's wow.
It is amazing how many of these things are
Yeah,
sort of
well, I think what it is it's reflecting that the fact that there are multiple things popping up. It says everyone's identifying the need that we're going to have trust infrastructure for AI agents, and if it's decentralized, it's particularly important that we figure it out. And it's like, oh, hey, guess what? That's the problem. That's what we've been working on. It's just now extending to AI agents instead of just people and organizations and devices. And it's
exactly.
always basically included bots, in my opinion, and now we're just talking about smart ones.
Yeah, exactly.
But of course, the scale implications and the automated verification. I mean, as soon as I look at their site and see things like um, you know the universal aspect, trust scores, standard agent profiles. That's exactly what I mean. Literally, those same words are being used by the Nanda project, and similar to discussions around A to A and MCP. It's also a thread on the personal AI agent discussions. Are you familiar with the sort of coalition that's been called Loyal Agents?
Not come
No.
across that one.
Yeah, it's a group. Riza Razul from Kauai explained more about it this morning. There's a paper that has that in its name. I believe it's Tobin South, who's part of the Stanford HAI group, but he's associated with various of these efforts. Anyway, Kauai, Consumer Reports, GliaNet, and there's a fourth. They're all coming together on this project called Loyal Agents, which is specifically around personal AI agents and how the name is taken. He explained from a Bruce Schneier post about if you can have a personal AI agent, how do you know it's loyal to you, right? And guess what? They got to tackle agent identification and authenticated delegation. So everyone's running into that same thing.
That's amazing.
And
It's
yeah,
just trying to keep up is sort of interesting. I mean, what we were talking about as well is the sort of we were just talking about the payment side of things, and there's all the payment providers are trying to sort of, still be relevant as these things come up, because agentic initiated payments becomes a really interesting challenge for them. Opportunity, I think, is what they look at it, and they're all doing their own thing, and it's everyone's trying to still be relevant in this discussion as these things go on. They're not interested in interoperability at this point in time. They're just trying to sort of say, look at me, this is a new protocol I come up with, well done. That just extends what you have today and just continues to justify it, really.
Exactly. I mean, here we had, Google came up with its proposal. Stripe has its proposal. We're going to see.
Visa, MasterCard, they've all got it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I totally understand. I mean, I must say, each visit I make down to Silicon Valley, there's no question this is every bit as much of a, uh, I'm hesitant to use the word bubble because who knows, what actually happens, but a rush, a mania as .com was, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just 95% of the billboards going up and down 101 are,
So
it's just the AI this, AI that, all of these topics. It's amazing.
All we need to be doing is utilizing the AI wave to say this is relevant, and once you solve it for AI agents, then you can apply it to IoT devices. You can apply it to just people, and that's one of the things I think we've got to be very careful, is that we keep focusing on AI agents, but actually it's got to be able to support the simple scenario first, which is just people. Maybe it's
do you
simple.
to the I know these are slightly off topics, and there's a couple of things I want to get to that are sort of on topic. Let's do that first. We were at a meeting. You and I, Drummond, were in a discussion around the direction of arrows, trust over IP, foundation diagrams, and stuff. Right. So I've done those changes. The arrows are now pointing in the opposite directions, and they're in the folder where such things were placed. And I put it on Discord. I think that I did that. But we in our meeting and the minutes that were generated by AI of that meeting, we had like 5 or 6 actions that we'd agreed apparently to do. And I was just looking at those. So they were updating the trust over IP 3rd generation diagrams before the November symposium. That's done.
Yep.
Propagate the updated diagrams through the relevant foundational documents. That I'm less sure of. Okay, all I've done is edited the slide decks that exist.
Right.
Inform the Discord community. Well, I've done a post, but it may need to be reposted. You can't just tell them once.
Especially now that we're all over there. We just talked about that on the SC call today. So yeah,
exactly. Then we'd had separate sidebar conversations about the IETF on time zones, which I think I did share with you. We were talking about the rather cute IETF RFC about time zones, Joe.
Yes.
And that there's a reference to one particular person, Jeff, I think, that's been looking after it for some years, and they thanked Jeff. I thought it was a fabulous RFC. And then flipping the bozo a bit. So we've done our actions, I think, from the GATFA meeting that you were part of a couple of weeks ago. But if you don't mind, I guess if it's you or others, but maybe it's Scott Perry actually needs to pick up the baton about the diagrams have got the arrows now in the other direction.
Yes, we need that propagation thing. I know I can take care of it for the rewrite we want to do of the introduction to trust over IP. We need to also, there's just very places we've used those. I'm happy. I know the documents that I've been working on. I'll just switch to the new version. But we need to do that throughout. So I would definitely follow it up with another post, maybe not just a general, but maybe 1 or 2 other channels. Just copy the post into Discord, so folks are like, "Hey, we have these," and your talk on the diagram is on the page as you saw at the steering council meeting. So that's going to be the definitive.
With the irony being, of course, that it has the arrows in slightly the wrong direction. Well, no, they're not in the wrong direction, depending on how you describe them. But yes, they're in the wrong direction according to an enterprise architecture that pinged fired across our bows quite rightly, actually, in retrospect, and we've changed the arrow direction.
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm interested to I'm interested to see the changes and actually understand the changes, but I'm not gonna
Well,
In
drag out.
go ahead.
let's see if I can paint the picture in our minds simply, right? There was a discussion in the pack about the relationship between trust over IP's work and ecosystems.
Yeah,
And the idea that the pack wanted to present was that trust over IP generates ideas and frameworks and
yeah,
recommendations that ecosystems may, in a sense, choose to use.
consume.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
uses. So ecosystems use trust over IP
yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah.
And the other arrow was that
And
trust
TIP
over
doesn't
IP
impose it.
learns
Yeah,
from ecosystems.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right now, the thing is when you do the proper sort of diagram, thinking about verb object subject type stuff, you go ecosystems use trust over IP. So the arrow goes from ecosystem to trust over IP. The
yeah.
information flow goes in the opposite direction, really.
That's
Information is
exactly right.
so
Mm.
that we draw an information flow, like a data flow diagram, not a use case kind of relationship modeling diagram, right? So we could have changed the words inside the arrow to reflect the arrow direction, or we could change the anyway. So long story short, the arrow is now going the opposite direction.
Yeah,
Without the right term, without the right words, the arrow could be quite
yeah. That's what
confusing.
was
Yes.
being
That's
pointed out was based on the word we used, the arrow made more sense going the other direction. So we either changed the
fair
wording or
enough.
we changed the arrow. We decided the wording is we like the wording as it is, so we just changed the direction of the arrow. That's it.
We
Sure,
like the
well done, Neil.
shortness of the words. If we want to use the word uses and learns, then we have to flip the arrows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. And thank you, John. You did the work and you did it right away, and it was
yeah.
very productive. I'm glad we did it. And as I said, now your half-hour talk on it, which will be, all of them going to be separately recorded, will now be the definitive thing that I will be able to point anyone to say, you want to understand the trustworthy stack? Go look here.
Hang on, you asked me to re-record the thing. Uh,
No, no, no. The new talk you'll be doing
okay,
at the forum.
okay,
Excuse
okay,
me, not
cool.
the forum, the symposium.
Yeah,
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 symposium.
sure. Yeah, I'll obviously use the right diagrams for that.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And I mean, that whole set is, I think we're up to uh, t- uh they're going to be 14 talks, maybe 15. There's one more that might come on. Either half an hour or 1 hour talks. That's going to be our new full library of like current, state of the art, everything that's going on in Trust RP. And so, I think we're going to get a lot of mileage out of not just folks that come that day, but now having this library and being able to hand out links and say go go watch this. I'm
Cool.
jazzed about
Very
that.
cool. Um, the two other things that were slightly off topic were you mentioned this bubble idea for AI, and we're all aware of the risk of opportunity, whatever bubble. I like all of us, I get feeds every bloody day about many things. This one I'm about to post here is the one where the potential of coding speed improvements of AI doesn't appear to be showing itself yet. So that is if you scroll down to the how AI is transforming, not replacing coding, the laboratory. This Rocco's basilisk thing is quite good. You've just opened the link, haven't you? So that's okay. Go get if you want to scroll down to it. It's the one that says how
Oh,
AI is transforming, not replacing coding.
okay. It's like I'm opening it in different. I did open
It's
it.
okay. Oh, I don't mind you flipping to that screen.
Yeah.
So that was why I posted that one. That's it. So if you scroll down there, you'll find there's a bit about um, how it's so the expectation was that AI would make coding faster. It turns out it doesn't.
Really? Wow.
Well, it probably creates code faster.
Well, no, it's
The
not even
outcome is
that. It
probably
doesn't. It's anyway, it's an interesting little piece of the article. It's worth reading it.
looking
Uh,
forward to it.
so one of the bit you've just got to now at the very bottom of the screen you're sharing is this remarkable idea that AI says, I'm not going to do that. Sorry, Dave, I can't do that right now. Um,
Wow. That's fascinating. That is really good. Oh, I want to read the whole thing. Yeah. Wow, it's evolving. Oh, cool. Um,
But that's cool. The other thing is The Economist has painted a very dark picture about the risk the world faces with the multi-trillion-dollar bubble we have for AI, and that
ooh.
it's worse than it was for the dot-com boom. And so that's in The
So
Economist's opinion
you're saying
article today.
they're explicitly calling it a bubble.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it doesn't surprise me. I hadn't heard that yet.
No, 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 no. That has been, yeah, widely
I'll see if I
used.
can I guess if I share the screen, it'll work.
I suppose
You
Geeta
you
can
Gop
can.
stop sharing.
so
Let you share.
Geeta Gopinath, who used to be the IMF's International Monetary Fund's chief economist, so she's a lady who knows her stuff, right? Has written about the crash that could torch $35 trillion of wealth.
Dude, whoa, holy moly.
Um,
Wow.
I don't know if I click this, if I give you this link, then you click it. Does that work? It may not work. It might work. I don't know. Maybe they're giving that one outside access from the paywall.
I can try it. Let's see what comes up here. I'm gonna go and it came up. I don't know how much of the article I can read. Yep, no, I can read the whole thing.
There you go.
Nice. 35. Oh my gosh. That's something. 35. Oh. All right, that's got my attention.
All right, cool. That's enough diddly dally. Um, uh, all power to your elbow, Drummond. And I don't know. Do we have date time? I know the dates I think are set for the symposium. Do we have a time for the half hour yet? Should I
Um,
know what?
no, I think that will the talks are listed on the page. Yeah, sorry, Daryl's pinging me with messages that are getting in the way. I'm trying to find that. I had it up here. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so the the page that lists everything, I'll put it in the chat
Thank you. I'll just put a
here.
comment maybe against that entry to say if it's possible to do this at
Oh yeah,
an
no, I
Australian
know that
friendly time. Then.
there is the ecosystem and governance working group meeting tomorrow, which is in in the middle of your evening. So, but we're going to be discussing that, not setting. I don't. The idea is to set the schedule in once we are sure we have all the talks and all the speakers.
Okay.
It'd probably be in another 2 weeks. We'll fix it in timing wise. But
Okay.
that
Cool.
page
All right.
just has all the things that have been submitted so far. It doesn't have. Daryl's going to do a talk on IRA and TRQP, but that's not on there yet. It's in the queue, but he didn't get it in by the deadline.
Cool.
And there's one other talk, but I can tell you about that at another time. If there's any, do you have anything else for our recorded meeting here?
No.
All right, then I suggest we give ourselves a little bit of time back, and perhaps we can get together on another channel.
That'd be great.
Sound good?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
great.
gentlemen, very much.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot,
very much,
John.
Ron.
Take
Cheers.
care.
Bye.
Look, take care.